Hello and welcome back to another episode of Come Over for Dinner. I'm Bess Hawthorne and I'm so excited you're joining me today. Today I'm joined by a woman of many, many talents. She lives in Fort Worth, Texas with her husband, who also happens to be my nephew, John, and their 3 little boys, 5 months, 2, and 3. Along with being a busy mom, she teaches piano and organizes community musical performances and, of course, brings along some of her delicious hors d'oeuvres. She could teach a master class in hosting, and we are going to hear tips on how she plans and executes the many, many meals she shares with others. She raises chickens, makes communion bread for church, speaks fluent Spanish, helps with management in her family business, and encourages other moms all the time. And we are going to hear of the many ways she does that. Welcome, Mary Ellen Turner.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited you're here. It was funny to figure out the logistics with 3 little boys. But your kind husband is watching them, and
Yes.
Your very intelligent mother-in-law, who happens to be my twin sister, helped us with the audio and the logistics of setting up sound, and her husband did too. So we got it. We're here. Mary, as I mentioned, is my twin sister Ruth's daughter-in-law, and Ruth does sing your praises regularly. We often talk on the weekends, and somewhere thrown in there is usually a story about something Mary Ellen cooked or an event you hosted or just something amazing about you and how much energy you have. And we often say, did we have that much energy when we were young? So that is a wonderful thing. You're doing a fabulous job. One of the things she said that stands out to me is that not only are you continually giving to others, but you're consistently cheerful about it, which is a hard thing to do when you're in the thick of things and raising 3 boys. We often say on here that hospitality should be an outflow of what you're already doing to your own family. And so being able to have that, but also do it without grumbling and complaining is quite the thing. So we'll talk about some tips you have for that. And apparently I'm not going to let you talk today. Before I let you talk.
I'm enjoying this, so keep going.
A few more ideas. Things that you do, obviously not all at the same time, but just different ideas that Ruth has mentioned that you have done over the past, while you've been married to John. How many years have y'all been married, by the way?
It'll be 5 on Wednesday. 5 years.
Happy almost anniversary. That's very exciting. She mentioned that you take meals to people, anyone who might need some cheer, whether it's somebody who just had a new baby, someone who just moved homes, someone new to the community, or someone who's sick. You host events in your home, whether it's small group fellowships for church, baby showers, or play dates to fellowship with other moms, and even bulk cooking events with friends where you get together and make dinners for your family and visit at the same time. You're a master meal planner, but you also accept help when offered for prep and cleanup, which of course makes a lot of these events more doable. One of the things we'll talk about for sure is the midweek meal that she helps with for her church. She and other moms get together and do it together. So, Mary Ellen, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your family and some of the things that we just talked about that you host.
Yes. So like you said, I live in Fort Worth. I have my chickens and my 3 babies. And yes, I love hosting. I love cooking. And so I do a lot of that in order to serve other people. One thing you mentioned that I do quite a bit, and I'm not trying to brag, but I do like bringing meals to people because as a mom of 3 under 4, I can't really come help you unpack. I can't really clean your house for you or anything like that, but I can cook for you. And so one thing I like to do is if I'm making a freezer-friendly meal, I like to double it, and then I will put it in the freezer along with some bread. I usually have bread in the freezer as well. So if somebody needs a meal, I have freezer meals on hand that I can bring to people, or we can eat them ourselves. So that is one thing I love to do. I had a friend this past week. She was telling me about their moving, and she said, we've been eating scrambled eggs and grilled cheese all week. And I was like, well, let me bring you a meal to church. And I had spaghetti sauce in the freezer, noodles in the pantry, bread in the freezer. And I also had frozen dessert ahead of time from when I made a bunch of dessert. So I had all the things ready, dropped it off at church for her, and she was able to come pick it up and just have a nice hot meal that she didn't have to cook while they're unpacking all their boxes. So
I bet that was the best meal she'd had in a while.
It was pretty good
even
spaghetti
better
sauce. Yes.
after scrambled eggs and grilled cheese for multiple days in a row.
Yes.
That's a really great idea. I often wonder, what did people do before freezers?
Yeah,
Seriously.
I don't know.
How in the world did they survive? Because I rely on it so much. And like you mentioned, I really like it even more than the pantry because, I mean, obviously you have to have pantry things. Like you mentioned, the noodles. You can just grab those and cook them at the last minute. But so much of the meal that is quick to grab, it can be really an instant meal if you have spaghetti sauce or a frozen soup or frozen burritos or whatever. There's so many different ideas that you can just grab and it's like, here's the meal. You don't have to put anything together.
It's so easy. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about the midweek meal at your church. So this is something you do with other moms, and obviously helping facilitate it are the dads. A lot of times dads are helping out with the little ones if there are extra little ones. Like I know your husband, John, is wonderful about just jumping in there and saying, okay, I've got the toddlers. And you sometimes have the baby with you.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
So this midweek meal that we do at church, we do it on Wednesday evenings. It's our Wednesday night Bible study. And in the past, a while ago, we would do it where you just brought your own dinner and you would eat dinner and do the Bible study. And then the leadership decided, hey, let's try providing food and seeing if we can get more people to come. So we started, it's groups of 3 or 4 ladies who come and they will make a homemade meal in the church kitchen on Wednesdays. And so Wednesday evening, everyone can come and just eat a free, yummy cooked meal and listen to the Bible study. So I've been doing it for the past, I think 3 years. I've been doing it twice a semester. And that's kind of how we divide up the teams, is usually 2 or 3 times a semester. These teams will get together and make the meal. And it's a really fun way to hang out with your friends and to serve the church, serve other ladies. I know for me, when it's Wednesday and I'm not cooking, it is such a fun day because I get to spend quiet time in the afternoon cleaning or doing other sort of household things instead of prepping for dinner. And it's just fun to get together with your friends without your toddler. So
right. So even though you're in the kitchen working, you are having a great time because you get to visit with some friends.
Yeah.
It's just such a service to other moms and other families coming because they're able to say, even though the day's been busy, we're making it. We're going to be able to just drop everything and go to church because dinner's made.
Yes.
We don't have to try to feed everybody and then race out the door. So that's such a blessing.
Exactly. Yes. So we love doing it. And my team last time, we had one of our team members, she's pregnant. She's really pregnant. And then we had 2 babies with us and they're in the pack and play and other teenagers are holding the baby. So it's chaotic and a lot of fun. We have a great time.
It's a group effort.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, the food there is also very delicious. I've heard lots of good things about it. What is the most recent menu you've made? What is an example of something you might serve?
So one thing that's a big hit when we make it, especially for the kids, is our garlic buttered chicken. And this was a recipe that Ruth came up with. She was on my midweek team a few years ago, and she came up with this recipe. So it has a ton of butter in it and garlic, and you saute the butter and garlic. Then it's red curry paste, soy sauce, brown sugar. I think that's it. coconut milk and a can of coconut milk. And you just make the sauce, pour it over cooked chicken. You can serve a salad on the side, roasted broccoli with rice. The kids go crazy for this meal. And when I am thinking about, okay, what meal should we do for midweek? I am thinking, what will my kids eat so that it's easier for my husband when he's trying to like feed all the kids by himself. So they love that meal. It is a huge hit, and you can just make the sauce on the stove and cook the chicken in the oven, or we did the Blackstone as well. They have a Blackstone outside.
Mary Ellen sent me this recipe, and then I had the thought of like, why hasn't my sister sent me this recipe? She's holding out on me.
She was gatekeeping.
And we made it recently for our Sunday meal, and it was just so funny because I mean, people are always like, oh, this is good. This is, delicious or whatever. No, this meal,
yes.
It's really good when it gets really quiet because everyone's just bite after bite after bite. And all the comments were like, wow, this is really good.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad.
We need to make this more often. Like instant hit, instant repeat.
Oh, good.
This has to go in our cycle, our repetition of meals. Like pull this out is a top favorite because, like you said, not only is it amazingly delicious and kid-friendly, it's so easy to make.
Yes, it's so easy. And one thing I like to do with it, if I'm going to make it at home, is I will cook a large amount of chicken in the oven, just on 325, really low and slow, and then use the chicken we're going to use for our meal plus a little leftovers, and then I will chop the rest and freeze the other chicken. So it's really easy to just warm up your chicken, throw it into the sauce, warm it up, and there you go. You've got a really easy freezer meal that tastes so fresh and delicious because you just made the sauce.
Mm-hmm. Right. And the sauce can be made ahead of time so easily and just warmed back up.
Yeah, you can freeze the sauce too. So I love that. That menu is such a hit every time I make it.
Yes. Tell me about the salad you serve it with.
Okay, so this is another Ruth salad because she told me, this is when John Henry and I were first married, but she was telling me every salad needs a nut and a cheese and a fruit. So that's whenever I make a salad, that's her formula for a delicious salad. So I always try to have a nut and a cheese and a fruit. And I usually like to do honey roasted peanuts for my nut. Just kind of chop those or smash those or whatever, throw it on the salad. I like craisins or apples, and then feta is usually my go-to cheese. And then I make a salad dressing with it, which is Ruth's salad dressing recipe. And it's delicious just to have a homemade salad dressing.
Yes.
It has apple cider vinegar, Dijon mustard, maple syrup, fresh or dried rosemary, olive oil, salt, and pepper. It's a delicious salad dressing. You can swap out the vinegar for whatever you have on hand. I've done it with white wine vinegar before. I've even done it with rice vinegar in a pinch, and it's always been delicious.
I will say I made this too, and it was amazing. And I have never used honey roasted peanuts on a salad. I loved it. I like honey roasted peanuts. I just haven't ever thought about putting it on a salad, but something about that combo was so good.
Yes.
My family loved it too. So I highly recommend everyone make this exact menu. We haven't heard about dessert yet, but dessert will also, I'm sure.
Dessert's coming.
Dessert's coming. Hang in there. It is just so easy and so good. It's just, sometimes you run into those recipes or those menus where it's just little effort for the amount of amazing deliciousness that you get and kind of the wow factor.
Yes.
This is it. This is that menu. If you're interested in trying this recipe, it will be on comeoverfordinner.com. All of the recipes that we talk about, all of the products we talk about later, some of her favorite kitchen items will be on comeoverfordinner.com under her blog post. It's all there, everything that she talks about, but also On the index, the recipes are listed alphabetically by category, and then there's a shop page for links to products. So you kind of know, oh, this is exactly the whatever that she was talking about. And you can decide if that's the brand you want, or if you just kind of get an idea of, oh, that's what it looks like, and I'll search for my own brand. So that's a shout out to go to the website, because sometimes people are wondering where to find the recipes, and it's definitely there. They're always posted. So dessert. We made him wait for dessert. So now is the time. You have to tell us about your delicious dessert.
Yes, if they have room, which they'll make room for this dessert. And honestly, we haven't made this for midweek lately because it is a little more time consuming and harder to do for 150 people, but very doable for up to 20 people, I would say. You can do it easily. So this is an apple crisp, and this is also from Ruth, which actually, Bess, I think you were the one who told her about this recipe, right?
I think I first discovered it in the Yellow Gourmet cookbook.
Okay.
They have multiple cookbooks, and I say yellow because the cover is completely yellow.
Okay. So she turned me on to this recipe, and it takes 5 pounds of apples. And you can peel them. I don't usually peel them, but you just chop up the apples, and then I think it's lemon zest, sugar, cinnamon, toss it all together with a little lemon juice, stick it in a casserole dish, and then you make your crumb topping, your crisp topping. And I think that's flour, butter, cinnamon, salt, sugar, brown sugar. Sprinkle it on top and throw it in the oven. So that is what we love to make for dessert if we're having, a manageable crowd here. It's such an amazing dessert and makes an excellent breakfast the next day if there are leftovers. We love apple crisp with scrambled eggs on the side. So it's a delicious dessert. We love to make it.
It is really good. It's a very, again, kid-friendly recipe.
Yes.
One of the wow factors with making this dessert is if you decide to bake it during dinner, you can make it ahead of time. But if you ever make it during dinner and the smell is just engulfing your whole house, you definitely have room for dessert.
Oh, yeah.
It smells amazing cooking in the oven.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever heard that tip that real estate agents have given people before, like, when they do a house showing, to have a certain smell candle going, or have some bread in the oven, or, just something about the smell makes it
draws
the people. They picture living there, and it feels so homey. I think if you were baking this in your oven while trying to sell your house, you would sell it immediately.
Yes. Definitely.
That's how delicious and homey it smells.
Yes.
This menu, obviously, you do for the midweek meal. I'm guessing you also do to your home whenever you have company and decide that would
love
fit.
To have it. Yes.
Yes, it would fit. But do you have another menu that you might serve when people come over?
Yes. So I have one. If you've been to my house for lunch, you have probably eaten this soup. I was signing up to bring someone a meal. She had just had a baby. And I see that someone has signed up to bring Mary Ellen's soup. And I texted my friend, I said, "Is that the soup that I always make?" She said, "Oh yeah, we make it all the time and we call it your soup."
That's amazing.
So this is I think it's Pioneer Woman. And this is a white bean, sausage, and kale soup. It is delicious. And I think one of the things that makes it such a unique but delicious flavor is the jarred roasted red bell peppers. I don't know if you cook with those very much, Bess.
I have not. Where do you buy them? Is it a specialty food store, or can you just buy them from the regular grocery?
So I get mine at Walmart. My Walmart has them. And I'm sure like Winco or Walmart up in Moscow would have them too.
Okay.
But they're delicious. I would highly recommend trying out a recipe with them. So the recipe has onions, garlic, these roasted red bell peppers that you saute together. Throw in your sausage, chicken broth, let that boil away for a while. Then you add your canned beans, your heavy cream, kale, and also I think another thing that really makes this soup incredible is it has, I think, 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar added at the end, which just adds a wonderful, I don't even know what it would add to it. A kind of zing to
Like
it.
a little zip.
Uh-huh. Yes. So this is a great recipe to make ahead of time. My favorite thing to do with this recipe is to actually just make it the day before, and I will double it. And then that's what we eat on Saturday. We're going to eat just this soup for lunch and dinner, and then stick the pot in the fridge. And then before people come over, we put it on the stove and it warms up beautifully and it's ready to go.
Well, and a lot of times people say with soup that that's the best way to do it because the flavors have time to really
Yes.
meld and it tastes even better the second day.
Yes.
So that's a fabulous idea to have it completely made ahead of time. Dishes are clean, and all you do is just set it on the stove for company coming.
Yes. Yes.
What else would you serve with it?
So for this recipe, I like to serve, I'm a big carb girl, so I love my carbs on the side. So I would do either a bread or a rice, or you could even do noodles on the side. I don't typically cook my noodles in the soup because I find they just absorb too much of the moisture and become a little mushy. So you could do that on the side. And then I like to do usually the apple crisp for dessert because it's so delicious and such a hit. Or I will pawn off dessert on one of our house guests if they ask, oh, what can I bring? I will often say, oh, just bring dessert. So that is my menu for this. I also recently, we were out of yeast. I cook with yeast all the time. And so I'm always running out of it. But I wanted to make a bread for this, and I found this delicious beer bread recipe. And it's very biscuity, and you pour an entire half stick of butter over the top and sprinkle it with flaky sea salt. Oh, it was so good. And it doesn't use any yeast, so it worked really well. So that's another option as well. If you're not into yeast baking, make this beer bread. It was super easy. I think it's 12 ounces of beer that it uses and was a huge hit. Everyone was raving about it.
Which you can have just stuck in the back of your fridge ready to go for any time you want to make it. Speaking of having pantry items, you don't have to have beer in the fridge. So that's a great idea. I can't wait to try that recipe. I have not made beer bread for so many years. I used to. It kind of became this big thing when I was first married and I made it a lot. So I will be excited to try this new and updated version.
Yes. It was my first time making beer bread. I've heard about it and people have raved about it, but I never made it. And now I'm on the beer bread train. I've joined that bandwagon.
Okay. Good to know. I'm glad you're pulling me back on the bandwagon because it's been a while. Come on. You fell off the wagon. Get back on. Well, and kids would love it. And the carbs you mentioned, that's a great idea too, because kids need something to fill them up. And so if they're being a little picky about the beans or the kale, if they have the rice or the noodles, and I'm guessing you put that kind of in the bottom of the bowl and then put some of your soup on top. Is that how you serve it?
Yes.
That sounds delicious.
Yes.
And then, of course, if you tell kids at the end, you eat your dinner, you have some apple crisp.
Yes.
They're going to go for it. It's coming up.
Yes.
They're definitely going to take you up on that offer. We talked about some of the shortcuts and time savers that you might use, like making it completely ahead of time, cleaning ahead of time. What else would you say you would do when you're planning for people to come over or making this menu in particular? Do you have any other ways that you save time?
Little things like using pre-peeled garlic. I'm not a huge fan of pre-minced garlic. No hate, but I personally
doesn't taste the same.
I personally don't love it.
I know. I used it for years and years with my kids growing up because I thought it's just so fast to grab out that jar and then in whatever, liquid it was swimming in.
Yes.
And I did use it, but one day I had enough time to taste it side by side with the real thing, the fresh garlic. I'm like, okay, yeah, I got to do something to get to the fresh garlic again.
So using pre-peeled garlic is easy. You can cook the sausage ahead of time and freeze it. Something I like to do if I'm going to be hosting people, let's say on a Sunday, and I know I'm going to be making this soup. Well, I'm going to look for another recipe that also uses sausage. So I can cook the sausage for the dinner that I'm making and the sausage for the soup then I can just freeze the sausage, stick it in the freezer out of the way until I'm ready to cook the soup on Saturday. So you can cook the sausage ahead of time. Even things like, earlier in the week, I'm chopping an onion for a dinner. I'll just go ahead and chop my onion for the soup coming up, stick it in a Ziploc, stick it in the freezer or fridge. And so your onion is already chopped and ready to go for your soup.
That's so smart. And, if you kind of think about that ahead of time, I've known people who have their menus for the week laid out and they do like one prep day where they're chopping all vegetables.
Oh, that's amazing.
They're cooking all meat, and I'm not usually that prepared. Wouldn't that be amazing? I mean, there are some things that are fresh you need to kind of chop right before you do something. Otherwise, they might wilt or get brown or something like that. But I have thought of like meats especially, just cooking them ahead of time, putting them in the freezer. It would be a really good way to make cooking during the week faster.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
Well, great ideas. What is your best prep tip when you're having people to your home? Because you have 3 little boys, so I'm guessing it's quite the thing to manage you getting the house ready for people coming.
So I would say for me personally, in my stage of life, the best time to have people over is Sunday after church. And so my best prep tip for all moms of littles out there is try a Sunday lunch after church, because everybody can help clean up the night before. And then Sunday morning, everyone is gone until you get home and your company can see your beautiful house that your kids have not had the time to mess up at all because they've been out of the house. So that's one thing I would recommend. Another thing is, if you're having people over Sunday, while you're giving the boys a bath or your kids a bath at night before church, go ahead and just clean your bathroom. While you're sitting in there with the toddlers, just scrub the toilet, wipe everything down. You have to be in the bathroom anyway. So that's something else I like to do to save a little time, is cram that into bath time. It's just a quick bathroom clean during bath time.
That's a great idea. Just like you said, instead of just sitting there watching them play, just go ahead and knock it out. That way you don't have to do it after they're in bed. You're done.
Yes.
Get the bathroom clean, get the boys clean.
Yeah.
It's all done.
Yep. All ready to go.
And then, when you're getting ready for church the next day with little kids, it doesn't really matter that, say, the bedrooms aren't perfect. When people come over, you're closing those doors anyway. People are not going in the bedrooms to play or the laundry room or the garage or whatever. And so if your main area is clean from Saturday night, you've cleaned the kitchen, you've cleaned the living room, and the boys haven't been in there to play, you are much more ready than if they had been there all morning and you're waiting for company to come.
Oh, yeah. We had people over on Saturday. It just worked out to have them over on Saturday in the evening. And I swear, I felt like I was trying to brush my teeth and eat Oreos at the same time, trying to clean up after these kids. I'm like, we're having company and you keep getting more toys out. And so I like hosting at a time where everyone's out of the house and then everybody can come back at the same time and see your beautiful clean house. And then whatever happens after that, it
it's destroyed.
Matter. Yeah.
But their kids are helping destroy it as well.
They saw that I can have my house clean. And then after that, who knows?
Right. What's your best advice for making people feel welcome when they walk in the door?
One thing I love to do, because we do regularly have families with little kids over, is I do like to have a spot for moms to go nurse the baby in private if they want, or a pack and play set up so they can put their little one down for a nap or take care of a toddler throwing a fit or whatever. But I do like to have either our master bedroom just kind of tidied, able to receive people, or another bedroom that people can use. So that's helped facilitate have people over who might otherwise stay home just because of naps or whatever. So I love to do that. I love a coffee after lunch. I think that is such a fun way to encourage continued fellowship, we have a little espresso maker. So we'll make some lattes after lunch and everybody sits around with their lattes. So that's really fun as well.
That's a great idea because everything's over and people are just sitting around visiting. Having something hot to hold and sip on is a great idea. And, the Sunday afternoon naps are being missed, at least by the adults.
Yes.
Not that parents of young children often get those. But a little bit of caffeine boost is probably just what the doctor ordered.
Yes.
We'll be right back after a quick message from today's sponsors. Are you searching for hands-on activities to help your kids explore the practical side of science? Look no further than your kitchen. Inquisicook blends food science and culinary arts into an engaging program that puts delicious food on the family table. Let Inquisicook do the teaching with lesson videos, reliable recipes, and assessment tools that put students on track for success. Their online platform is easy to navigate and optimized for mobile, so the learning experience can move from the classroom to the kitchen without a hitch. Inquisicook turns curious students into intuitive cooks, not just recipe followers. Say goodbye to the tyranny of the ingredients list and say hello to utilizing what's in season, what's on sale, or what's in the fridge. Visit inquisicook.com to view sample lessons, then check out the recipe gallery to see just how crave-worthy science can be. Be a time traveler. Sail the seas with Odysseus, escape prison with Edmond Dantes, and defend the innocent with Ivanhoe. Join us at timetravelersLiterature.com. Enter a whole world of story where books uncover the riches of other books, where you discuss classic stories with other homeschool students, and where you are the time traveler, appreciating the work in its own literary tradition, its time in history, and its culture. Find out more and enroll in courses at timetravelersLiterature.com. What is your setup for kids coming in to play?
Our home is an open concept, and we do not have toys in the bedrooms because I like to keep an eye on my kids when they're playing. And so by consequence, when people come over, all of the toys are just in the main living area. We have a little spot kind of across from the kitchen, and my dad built us these beautiful drawer units. So there's 4 big drawers, and we have magnet tiles in one drawer. We have stuffed animals and balls in the next drawer, things they can throw inside. We had to kind of teach that. So we're like, oh, you can throw things like softballs and animals that are in this drawer. And then we have Legos and vehicles in another drawer, and then blankets. So those are the only toys that we have out. So even if every single drawer is completely emptied, it would take maybe 15 minutes to clean it all back up. So I love the setup that we have because even when things get super duper messy, I can relax and not feel stressed out knowing that we have our categories in our drawers and we really don't have a ton of toys. So
that's actually a good idea because not everything has to be available.
Yes.
Not every toy that your kids have ever been given by grandma and grandpa or whatever have to be open and available where just the whole entire house is a complete disaster, which would make it where you really don't want to have somebody over again.
Yes.
If it was just hours of cleanup. So having it manageable, that's a great idea. And 2 points you made, well, one is funny. It made me think of all sorts of funny stories about the teaching kids what can be thrown and what cannot be thrown. Mostly that makes me think of my boys.
Yes.
I remember, I don't know if I've mentioned it on here before, but my oldest just loved balls. He just wanted every ball there was and that was his thing, throwing balls. And we have this funny picture of him standing at our living room window, and every ball that he owned was thrown out the window. There was a ledge underneath, kind of like a flower bed, but nothing was growing it at the time. It was just full of balls. And it was such a cute picture. Well, his little brother came along and saw him do this. And the next picture was little brother throwing things out the window while I was cooking or something, because it all happened in a very short amount of time. And I come out to the window ledge, the flower bed being full of the telephone, a couch cushion, everything that was not nailed down in the living room was thrown out the window.
Oh, that is hilarious.
So we're like, okay, Tim, we have to teach you what can be thrown and what cannot be thrown. And it's so funny because now with my little grandson, Batter, he is going through the same phase. We're having to talk to him about what a ball is.
Yes.
Balls can be thrown. But if you throw your new monster truck, you will break it or whatever.
Yes.
And you for sure can't throw it at, sister's head.
Yes.
And when you're throwing a ball, somebody needs to be ready. And it's just so funny because he wants to throw everything. But teaching the whole concept behind the throwing is quite the thing. But, it's going to be so fun when he can play ball because he's so good at it. Of course he's so good. He has such a great arm. Such a great throw.
Lots of practice.
Lots of practice. Yes. The kids get lots of practice. So it's fun because kids love to do that you have some things that they can do that with and that you were teaching them is okay. Mm-hmm. The other thing you mentioned that I think is super important, and I do want you to expound on it, is paying attention to the children. Because a lot of times, and I know I was guilty of this when I was a young mom, you finally get together and the kids are playing and it's just so fun to have adult conversation.
Yes.
And you get focused on each other and the kids, who even knows what's happening sometimes. I think a lot of parents are great at not doing that they are really focused on knowing what's going on with the children and monitoring and all of that. But how do you do that at your house when it's, probably the number of adults compared to children is pretty low? The kids really take over.
Yes, we're always very outnumbered by children.
Yes.
One thing that if my husband and I are going to someone's house, what we do is definitely trade off watching the kids. We very rarely just let them go off and play. And that is because our oldest is not even 4 yet. And so we have a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old. They're 15 months apart. And we just want to keep eyes on them at all times. So we usually say, okay, you feed the boys lunch. I'll eat my lunch. And then we can switch. And you can eat your lunch and I'll help the boys eat their lunch. Or you chat with your friend for 15 minutes. I'll watch the boys outside and then we'll switch. So it does make it a little more manageable. But if people are coming to our house, I definitely like to have eyes on the kids, especially my own little kids. So my husband and I will trade off, do the same thing. A lot of time when the kids are playing outside, we will send the husbands outside with their coffee to go watch the kids. But yes, we like to have eyes on the little ones at all times because they just love getting into all sorts of things. So,
oh, yes. And sin abounds in their wee little hearts. That's a good idea. If the guys are outside talking and you have the babies inside, it just kind of balances it a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's good encouragement because I know for me, I did recognize that as a mom, like just sending the kids off to play, all sorts of things happen. But especially when they're that little, you're hearing somebody wail and scream and trying to figure it out when they aren't even talking that well. It's hard to figure out what happened and who was at fault. But if you're out there monitoring and you see somebody bonk somebody else on the head, you know immediately how to take care of it.
Yes, exactly.
Because they're both going to be screaming.
Yep.
I remember watching 2 of my little grandchildren in the South, and they are just so adorable. But it's funny being close in age and real competitive in the different toys that they play with.
Oh, yeah.
They have gone through that stage where, one's playing with it and one's eyeing it from across the room. Well, as soon as one sets it down, the other one's making a beeline for it. Well, the one who set it down and walked away is now screaming and shrieking, and they're both crying.
Yes, yep.
And mom comes running, and it's just so funny to think about parents having to figure out all those situations because a lot of times you're not seeing it if you're at the stove cooking dinner or something. You're just trying to figure it out. But anyway, I know I had to do all those battles with my own kids growing up, but it does make it so much better that you can kind of direct your children, discipline your children, teach them, even when especially when there's lots of other kids involved and there's new things that may tempt them.
Right. And I have a friend encouraged me in a specific way. We were practicing our duet. We were doing a piano duet for an evening of music that I hosted. And we were practicing this 15-minute duet for 3 hours because one of us kept having to get up, discipline one of the toddlers, come back, sit down, keep practicing, repeat, And I was starting to get frustrated. And she said to me, don't worry about it. The most important thing is the raising of our children. Everything else is secondary to that. And so I want to encourage young moms, it is not going to be this way forever. But when you go over to people's houses or have people over, what a gift that your children can learn how to behave in these situations where maybe these kids want to play with your very special bike that you really don't want to share. And so just being willing to put in the time to discipline and help your kids in these situations, because that is the most important work. You chatting with your friends is not. Using these opportunities, it's a gift to have these opportunities to train your children. We had some people over the other night, and my oldest has a bike that he loves. And I was having him share the bike with his friends, and he was absolutely heartbroken over having to share his precious bike with his friends. But I was just so grateful to have this experience.
That opportunity was there.
Yes. To say, we're going to sit here, we're going to let her ride your bike, and then you're going to get a turn back, and we're practicing patience. And so.
Oh, it's so good for the toddlers. So good. And like you said, it's not a stage that lasts forever. They really do learn it. And then they're little kids who know how to share, and they move on to the next stage of life. And it's not quite so intense for the moms. That's great advice. Didn't you at some point call it the sin bike?
Oh, yeah.
When you first got it, I remember Ruth saying that when the oldest got it for his birthday, then the younger boy was just very, very, very jealous. And they had lots of headbutting over this bike, and it was known as the sin bike.
Well, and then I said, you know what? We're getting 2 bikes. Okay. We're getting 2 bikes. Well, then we get 2 bikes. Okay. And now they're fighting over which color.
Of course.
I'm thinking,
of course they are.
I am taking these bikes outside, spray painting them both black. And you're going to get what you get.
Well, no, right. They'll still somehow find a way. Yes. The black paint on this one is slightly different than the black spray on this one.
Yeah.
The pattern.
Yes.
It's our sinful nature.
Yes.
We have to work to overcome. You see it even in the tiniest, cute little people.
Yes.
Moving back to the kitchen, what is a must-have kitchen item that you would want to share with us?
Okay, so this one was difficult for me, but I had to think about something I use every single day. And 2 things that I would say. One of them is my big cutting board, my big wooden cutting board that I use. I think this thing it's got to be at least 2 feet long and like 1.5 feet wide. So it's huge. It takes up my whole counter. But I love chopping veggies on this thing because I can chop a few carrots and they're not just tumbling all over the floor. So I love this cutting board. The brand I have is BOOS Lock. I don't know how to pronounce that. Booze Lock. I don't know. So I love that cutting board. And I got mine at Williams-Sonoma, and it is a little pricier. I think it's upwards of $150, but I literally use that thing every single day. So I love my big wooden cutting board.
Okay, I'll have to get the link for this.
Yes.
It does sound amazing. And it's good to save up sometimes and splurge on the things that you think you will use the absolute most if you use it every single day. And it's just the perfect thing, something that you something that solves a problem that you've had before, like cutting boards that are too small or cutting boards that don't have a groove that you need to, say, if you're chopping meat or something, collect the juices. So this sounds like a really good one.
Yes. Well, and I'm a little crazy about my cutting boards. I have 4 cutting boards, okay? Because I have my big savory cutting board, which is my big giant cutting board. Then I have a smaller savory when you're only cutting like chives or something. Then I have my big sweet cutting board and my small sweet cutting board because I got so tired of tasting onions in my apple slices. I don't know if you have this problem, Bess, but I would have the problem of like my apple kind of tastes a little oniony or a little garlicky.
Well, especially if you're using it one right after another.
Yes.
But does it still taste that after you've washed it?
Not after I give it a good scrubbing. But
but if you're just doing kind of a quick wipe and trying to keep chopping, you really need something separate. I would agree with that.
So I'm kind of crazy about my cutting boards. I'm like, do not cut garlic on my small, sweet cutting board. Do not.
No, if you're making the apple crisp, you don't want to be cutting apples after you've done onion and garlic. No. Not unless you've thoroughly cleaned the cutting board or just use a separate one. I do agree with that.
Yes. So I love my big giant cutting board. The other thing I would say is my espresso maker. We use that thing all the time. It's a Breville, I think it's Bambino espresso maker. I'll send you the link to it. I mean, we use that thing every day. And when we have company over, we also love to use it. Like I mentioned earlier, a little coffee after lunch. And I also recently used it for a baby shower. Our theme was Cafe Bebe. And I made it was so cute. This was not my idea, by the way. This was someone else's creative idea. But I made these little menus where you could choose your drink. So you could choose a latte or drip coffee. And then I made some honey lavender syrup. So you could add that to your coffee. I had homemade creamer, oat milk, raw milk. So it was really fun. So you'd check what you wanted from your little menu. And I was in the kitchen making your lattes for you, writing it on a little cup. It was really fun. So
being a barista.
I was a barista. I loved it.
About how long does it take to make a serving?
I would say probably
Bambino?
Like a minute and a half.
Okay, that's not bad.
From like grind to hot latte, I would say a minute and a half. Yeah.
That's not bad. And the Bambino, I'm guessing, is just a smaller footprint. Does it do all the same things a bigger machine does, or what's different about it?
So we have a separate grinder. It doesn't have the grinder built into it. So.
Okay. What grinder do you use? Do you have a favorite?
We use the Breville grinder, which in hindsight, we should have just gotten the machine that had the grinder in it. But we also love, like, John Henry loves to make a French press. So we love this grinder. You can choose your grind size. We've also started weighing our beans, which I know is very extra. But I am a decaf drinker. I drink a lot of decaf as a former caffeine addict. I like my decafs. And John Henry loves caffeinated. And so we can just weigh our beans and use up exactly the amount we need and switch between decaf and calf. So we've recently started doing that because he was using a different grinder and it just was not getting the job done well enough. And I took pity on him and let him use my nice grinder for his caffeinated beans again.
Well, again, that goes back to quality. Sometimes you want to buy the higher quality product because it works, and the lower quality, it's just like, oh, this is not the right grind or the right size. It's doing a terrible job. And having it separate does sound like it gives you a little more freedom to use other coffee makers, or like you said, the French press.
Yes.
Or if you had a drip coffee maker. I think you might have the same one I do. Do you have
we have mocha.
It's a mocha pot.
Yes.
But what's the brand? There's a brand to it. It's on my website. But anyway, it's
I think
amazing.
We have the same one. I love that one.
I love it. It's one of my 10 out of 10 recommendations.
Yes.
It is just a workhorse. We use it every single morning, and it works flawlessly, and hundreds of cups of coffee have come out of there.
Yes.
And no problems at all. Just very high quality.
Delicious every time. I have to tell you this funny story about the mocha pot. So we were using, right after we got married, we were using a mocha pot that we had in college. My sister and I lived together in college and shared this mocha pot. And it had been through many sisters in college, okay? So it's well loved at this point. Well, we've been using it for probably a year. You know, one of the lids is gone, whatever. It doesn't have the base anymore. All of a sudden, my mom is cleaning out her garage and she says, "There is a wedding gift for you here from your wedding that we had forgotten to open." One of John Henry's friends had purchased a brand new mocha pot for us.
You're kidding. That's an expensive gift.
It had been sitting in my parents' garage for almost a year.
And those poor friends never heard a word about how you liked it or a thank you note or anything.
I had to text her. I said, "I am so sorry.
Sorry.
And I told her the story and she laughed. But we had gone on our honeymoon and it was a crazy time. So we got to start over with a brand new mocha pot a year into marriage. It was very satisfying.
That's a pretty fun present.
Yes.
Okay. While you were talking about it, I looked it up and it's Technivorm. You know, we keep saying mocha pot, but
is it
I
mocha
think a mocha
master?
pot is a different thing. It's mocha master.
Okay.
That's what it is. So if you look at mocha pot, that's a whole different thing similar to a French press. So what we're meaning to say is mocha master. The brand is Technivorm. Mocha Master store. The one that I have is Technivorm KBT coffee brewer, 40 ounces, and there's different colors. I have the stone gray and the insulated pot. I highly recommend because you have hot coffee. It's not on a burner. It's just in an insulated pot, and so you're not getting that kind of burnt taste.
Yes.
I think that if it sits on a burner, it's not going to taste fresh.
Yeah.
And if you look up the price, it is a little pricey, but it goes on sale, especially around the holidays. Like I found it on sale Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that kind of thing. So you can just keep an eye on it. If it's something you feel like, oh, I do want to invest in a great coffee setup, and it's different than the Breville. So you do have to kind of decide, is that what we do? Is, you know, do we want black coffee or drip coffee, or do we want the mochas and the lattes and that sort of thing? So anyway, well, great ideas. One other item that I need to ask you about is your flour mill. Ruth has mentioned the baked goods that you make using this flour mill. And of course, I pictured, you know, you're cranking out the flour. You've got some serious muscles going on. And she's like, no, this is a modern flour mill. So tell us about this.
Yes. So the mill that I have is a Mock Mill, is the brand. And I probably in the last 2 years have started grinding my own wheat at home. I love the flavor. It started out just me loving the flavor of it. And my mom used to do it a lot when we were growing up. And I got back into it because she had wheat berries. And so we started making an old bread recipe that we grew up making with the freshly milled flour. I just fell in love with it. I love the flavor. I love the texture. I've come to find out that it's actually really good for you, good for your digestion. One of my friends sent me a whole video about it, and apparently you can actually live, now I'm saying this, don't fact check me on this, you can live on bread that's been made with freshly milled flour. You can actually live on it because it has all the vitamins and minerals you need. So when Jesus,
so it has all the nutrients intact.
Exactly. So when Jesus says, "You shall not live on bread alone," it just made it so much more real to me that, oh, you actually can physically live on this bread. Anyway, so that's just a side note. But yes, I love...
That's interesting.
So I love baking with the freshly milled flour. At this point, I cook everything with it. Even the apple crisp, it has flour in the crisp on top, and I just do that with the freshly milled, and I love it. We make all of our pancakes and waffles, muffins, bread, it's just so delicious. So we love the flavor of it.
So where do you buy the wheat berries that you grind? Or is that what you buy, wheat berries?
Yes, you buy the wheat berries. Now, I have really only ventured into soft wheat berries and hard red wheat berries. Those are the main ones that I use. And I buy them from Azure Standard, which is, I'm not sure quite how to describe it. A big truck arrives in a parking lot, and you pick up the things you've ordered from this big truck in the random parking lot of a church or a grocery store. So I would highly recommend this website, though. They also have big boxes of produce, honey, sugar, all kinds of delicious things. So recently my mom and I split a container of 50 pounds of Fuji apples. The best apple I've ever eaten in my life. And it was only $1.50 a pound.
And this company is based in Oregon, right? So
Yes.
I'm pretty sure they would have some amazing produce.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so that's where I get my wheat berries, from the truck in the parking lot, and just keep them in my pantry. And the thing with milling your own flour is you do have to weigh the flour before you bake with it, which is a little different than a regular 1-cup scoop. But I've fallen in love with weighing ingredients. I love it now.
So you can weigh what you would think, what is a cup of flour, for instance, and you just pour those in your grinder and out it comes into your bowl. You don't even have to measure it again.
Correct.
You're just ready to go.
Yes. When I first started baking with it, I was looking up, okay, I need this much flour, about how many wheat berries should I use? Well, then I realized how dumb I was being, because of course the wheat berry is going to be the same weight as the flour. Like, hello. Duh.
So how much does a cup of flour weigh?
Yes, it's like the whole 1,000 pounds of feathers, 1,000 pounds of bricks.
Right.
Obviously, they're
the poundage
the same.
is the same.
Yes. So I stopped doing so much frantic Googling and realized that, a cup is around 120 grams. Okay, so that's what we're going with.
Well, and if you've done it over and over and over, I can imagine it would just become second nature. Like, this is as easy as just scooping out a cup of flour. I scoop out a certain amount of berries, or I weigh a certain amount of berries,
Yes.
and then in they go, and out comes the flour, which would be delicious taste. I can imagine just that fresh, homemade.
It's so good.
Baked good would be just so good, having fresh milled flour.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a story from all of your years of hosting, including Little's the last 5 years? Maybe not quite 5, 4 years. Any stories come to mind that you want to share with us about your hospitality?
Bess, I had a story, and then something happened last night when we were hosting, and I thought Bess would get a kick out of this. She will just love this. So
a fresh story.
Yes, this is very fresh. So I have, like we've said, 3 little boys, and my oldest 2 are potty trained. But for boys in Texas, that basically just means they go outside. They're like, dogs. They just run outside to go pee.
Mary happens to live in the country, which is pretty amazing.
That's true. Okay, yeah. I don't have neighbors, right?
Right. She's not in an apartment building.
Peeing off the porch or whatever. No.
Right.
So we had a family over who has 2 little girls. And their oldest girl and my oldest boy are about the same age. Well, they're playing outside. They're having a good time. And I'm kind of watching them. I'm just sitting inside watching them. And all of a sudden, I see my oldest drop his drawers to go pee, of course. And I see the little girl. She stops. And she is bending over, looking at what's happening, mouth agape in horror.
What is happening, and why have I never been able to do this?
Yes. And I was like, hey, your daughter is, I don't know if you want to, because I can't really stop him mid-pee. He's just kind of going. So it was just hilarious that the dad is running out there to grab her and kind of explain what's going on, and let's give him some privacy. And once my oldest finished, I had to be like, when we have company over.
Okay, new
lesson. This is a good lesson.
Right. When company's
Please
here.
Use the bathroom.
When girl company is here. I do remember those funny moments when kids were growing up, like, you have to put a shirt on when company's coming over. We had 4 boys and 1 girl, but especially my daughter when she was, because it's the hot summer in the country, and she would want to run around with just shorts on, just like her brothers. And she got old enough where it's like, you have to put on a shirt. And she was not a fan of that around 3. Or when friends were coming over, you've got to put more clothes on.
Yes.
Not a fan. Not a fan. So that was pretty funny. And then also teaching the boys when they were in the country and or on a camping trip and when they weren't. There was a time that we had swimming lessons at the local pool, and the little boy that I was potty training ran up to the edge, and, it's just this big body of water. And I'm just kind of having a slight panic because he's running towards the pool. I'm already taking off after him because we were just sitting and watching the older ones having their swim lessons. And then all of a sudden he kind of, takes off. So I'm right there behind him, but a few paces behind when he pulls down his shorts.
The horror.
But I was close enough. I was close enough to scoop him up and run.
Pee flying everywhere, but
before.
At least people think you're making an effort.
No. Right. Thankfully, no, we did not scandalize the entire pool and all the families there, but I just had that same thought you had of like, okay,
yes,
it's time. Hopefully somewhere in their small minds we can kind of talk about when and where. You have to go into a bathroom. There are only a couple of circumstances where you do not have to.
So,
boys are
they're
funny.
wild. They are wild.
Little boys are funny. They are wild. That's your news story. Tell me the story that you had planned before.
So this was several years ago. We were living in Colorado at the time, so we didn't have family close. So when we would have Thanksgiving dinner, we would invite other young people in the community who might not have a place to go for Thanksgiving. And I have 3 sisters, so we love to do everything like a Jane Austen novel. And so we have spent,
that's pretty fun.
We have spent a good hour and a half setting the table, and everyone has a dinner plate and a salad plate, a little dessert bowl, wine glass, name card that we've watercolored and written their name all pretty. And we are washing dishes, preparing for everyone to arrive. And we look out the kitchen window, which looked over the driveway, and we notice that one of our guests has decided to bring his brother without telling us. And so we all start just freaking out because we're dramatic young girls, We're like, yes.
And there's no watercolor name tag for him.
Brought his brother. And so in the 2 minutes that it takes for them to get out of the car and walk to the front door, we are frantically trying to set the table to make it look like we were expecting his brother. And it's no biggie. Of course. Bring your brother.
No big deal. Just come in.
Yes. Don't mind the watercolor. Yeah. Don't mind the watercolors just laying all over the place.
Just don't touch it. It's real wet right now.
Yes.
Good recovery. So y'all just kind of flung an extra place setting in there and just carried on without even saying a word or missing a beat. Good hostess tip. Well, and thankfully with Thanksgiving, there's always extra food.
Yes, plenty of food. I've had something similar happen to me a few times since then. Maybe someone RSVPs the day of or whatever, and you just act like it's no big deal that you're RSVP the day of, and somehow you have all these allergies that we kind of have to work around. But I was prepared.
I was prepared. What is a tip, speaking of, when you have somebody last minute just kind of added to your guest list? Do you have a plan for that? What do you do?
Normally, if I'm not expecting them at all, I could win an Emmy for my acting skills of just, come on in. We were totally expecting you. Good to see you. Come in.
We're so thankful you're here.
Oh my goodness. Welcome. Bess, this happened to us the other week. I was having a friend over. I was going to teach her how to make this dish that she really likes. And another friend texted me and said, what can we bring on Friday night? And I said, I have no idea what she's talking about, but we're going to go with it. And so I said, please bring dessert. So we just have this impromptu dinner party on Friday night with my friend, and I was teaching her how to make the dinner. And you know what? I never figured out what my other friend was talking about. But I was like, whatever.
Somehow she wrote a date down wrong, or John said something, or you said something and forgot. Who even knows?
Yes. But I was like,
funny.
Whatever. Come on over and bring dessert.
Come on. Yeah. Well, and then if they're showing up even as you're opening the door, a hot tip is to just make plenty extra. Just have lots of food for you to even have leftovers for the next day, or your freezer.
Yes.
Your freezer is such a great tip because you can pull out something extra from the freezer that kind of goes along with the meal.
Totally.
Or even if it has to be something totally separate.
Yes.
I remember one time that happened to me. A couple of people were walking up the drive and I didn't realize they were coming. It was a miscommunication and there were lots of people, but I wouldn't have said that I had made an abundance of food.
Right.
But I happened to have burritos, homemade chicken bacon burritos in my freezer.
Oh my goodness.
I just pulled those out and put them in the microwave.
Oh my goodness.
Got them nice and hot, cut them in half, and we had this plate of burritos set out with other things.
With stir fry. You're like, we have stir fry
with something
and some
totally
burritos.
random. Right. Maybe they're not judging my menu planning skills too harshly. I'm really pretending I have lots of food and we're throwing out a couple of extra plates and we're totally prepared for you. So I would highly recommend having something in your freezer that you can just instantly put out.
Yes.
Or you could have a pantry meal planned, but I just think they don't taste as good. I mean, I'm sure there are listeners out there who are like, you're crazy. There's definitely things you can make from boxes and cans.
Well, share them
amazing.
With us.
But please do share. Years ago, I did have a recipe like that from someone. It was some kind of cheesy potato soup or something. And it was all boxes and cans. And later, I made it a time or two thinking, wow, this is fun. I just have to go to my pantry and dump things. But as I progressed in my cooking skills, I just didn't think it tasted quite as good as one would have imagined when you first start cooking.
Well, and that's the thing about these meals that I would recommend is you can make a large quantity. And if you end up with 12 cups of leftover soup and you're not going to be able to eat it, just freeze it. But always make more than you think you're going to need.
Yes, that is a great idea because you can have it for leftovers or freezer meal.
Yes. Yep. My favorite.
And then it's, my favorite too. And then you are not having to cook later.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Mary, for coming on and telling us all of the things, all of the ways that you do hospitality. You have so many good ideas, especially with little ones. And I think it will encourage lots of listeners to jump in there and just do it and have fun doing it.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun once we got through all the technical difficulties of it all.
Yes. Yes. We finally got the sound to work. Thanks to John and Ruth. All right. Until next time. Bye for now. I meant to ask Mary Ellen one more question, maybe the most important question. How do you stay so cheerful and calm giving so much of yourself? It's easy to start feeling real sorry for oneself when you have that much work to do. I wanted to talk about this, and I thought it was important, and so I texted Mary Ellen, and she kindly texted me back, and this is her answer. She said 4 things. Find humor in the stressful moments instead of self-pity. Work with other people and accept help to make it easier and more fun. Be grateful for difficult moments because they are an opportunity for spiritual growth. And finally, recognize that you are doing this for the Lord, not for the recognition from other people. I hope this episode has been an encouragement to you as it has been to me. Last thing before you go, I do have a page on Patreon, and I am going to put Mary Ellen's answer up for free. Anyone can access it. I usually ask my guests the question, what is a favorite tradition in your family, any holiday? And as you may guess, a lot of answers come in about Christmas time. And Mary Ellen does answer the question, and hers does have to do with Christmas time, and there is a recipe attached. So go over there to patreon.com, just search Come Over for Dinner, and you'll be able to access that. And if you're interested, you could sign up and listen to all of the other ideas for various holidays. Thanks for listening. Bye for now. Before you go, if you enjoyed this episode, take a second to follow the show and leave a review. It really helps the podcast grow and reach new listeners. Thanks for listening, and if someone came to mind during this conversation, be sure to share this episode with them.